I defied odds and logic, and I was able to not only get sober but stay sober. And in that period of time, I had a lot to catch up on in life. You know, at 38, I had nothing to my name except the clothes on my back. And I didn't have a driver's license.
Really?
And you know, I had no high school diploma. I had got my GED in the penitentiary. I was a convicted felon, and my resume read skateboarder, jackass, and author. But like, I had no skills. I had nothing that I could take and put on a resume that said, "Hey, this guy is hireable."
Yeah, it's not getting you into Goldman Sachs.
No, I was getting nowhere. I mean, my rap sheet read like, you know, convicted felon, 13 treatment centers, lost count of outpatients and detoxes.
You went to 13 different treatment centers?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I had lost count of outpatients and detoxes. My mother had bought me a plot. People had taken life insurance policies out on me. I had ended up on life support. I had been medevac to 4 different hospitals in 4 different states from 4 different overdoses. My mother had sold 3 homes to pay for me to go to 2 treatment centers.
Wow.
And at the end, I'm like this 38-year-old homeless addict who's resorted to letting men blow me to come up with money to buy dope.
Oh my God.
So it was like, people weren't like, that guy, we need him on our team.
Yeah. Let's keep him away from our team.
I wasn't the first round pick.
Yeah.
So my resume read that at 38, and I didn't know what the fuck to do, where to go, what direction to head in, and everyone, and I mean everyone in my life, felt that it was much more easier for them and me to love me from a distance.
Yep.
And I get that. So I'm in this 90-day inpatient treatment center, and I complete this program, and I follow a recommendation to go to live in this sober living house. And they had helped me acquire a job. And my first job was washing dishes for $6 an hour under the table next to a 14-year-old kid. Although my mind at the time told me I should have been the fucking president of the United States. At the very least, I'm busting suds for $6 an hour. And
better than letting dudes blow you.
Right?
Better than that.
But at that time, I'm like, don't you know who I am? But I forgot that, like, yeah, you're that guy that used to let men blow you.
Getting sober grounds you, dude.
It right-sized me in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And it continues to do that. And I really appreciate that about life. So I was washing dishes and living in the sober house, and if you would have told me what my life was going to become, I would have, at one point in my life, spit in your face, because I'd want no part of this. I don't want to be a fucking sober guy that owns treatment centers and works in rehab. You know, fuck that.
Yeah, that's lame.
Yeah, like fuck off, fuck you. And then if you told me in early sobriety, I'd be like, you lost there's no way. And now, I thoroughly believe in my mind that if I wanted to, I could become a brain surgeon. Like, for a fact, I would just have to invest my time, effort, energy, and attention in said subject. Because of where I came from in a short period of time. You can't fucking tell me there's nothing that I or we can't achieve.
Yeah.
Our mentality creates our reality. And they taught me that if I changed my fucking perception, I could change my world.
100%.
So I got sober at 38. All I had was this bag, and everything I owned fit in this bag. And I had 8 scarves, 2 jackets, 3 socks, a stick of deodorant, a needle, a spoon, a restraining order that my mother had served on me, and a passport for some reason. And it doubled as my pillow. And that's all I had at 38. And today my life looks a lot fucking different.
Yep.
So, like, you can't tell me that if you want something bad enough, you can't achieve it.
And I'd imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, in that moment where all you have is that bag, but at least you're sober, you probably didn't feel as poor as you really were.
It depended on the day and the moment, because early sobriety for me was like a bipolar roller coaster ride from hell. Yeah. Right? Like, you catch me at one moment, I'm above heaven high, and then the wind blows wrong and I'm like below hell low in the blink of an eye. So I don't really know what just took place. And that's why I could never really stay sober, because I couldn't endure early sobriety. Yep. Right? I shot dope for the better part of like 19 years to escape the reality that I had created for myself. Now I'm a week, 2 weeks, 30 days into my sobriety, and I'm full of the things I have the most of and know the least about, which are feelings. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's
tough when the feelings come back, dude.
Everything starts, I start feeling better. I start thinking better. I start smelling better. I start showering consistently. I'm brushing my teeth. My dick starts working. I'm having fucking wet dreams. Like, like all this
You're back
stuff.
to normal, dude.
And then the fucked up thing about that is that recovery works so well, I'll stop doing it. Because I got all the things back I didn't have that brought me into detox, right? It's a mind fuck. But I wasn't aware of that because I wasn't educated enough on said topic, right? I always underestimated the opponent that I was up against. I never gave it the time or respect it deserved, meaning my addiction. Yep. Right? So I wanted what you had, but I wasn't willing to do it in your timeline because I have fucking places to be. I have women to fuck and things to do.
You're too important.
Right? Yeah.
Too important.
So every time I go to treatment, the last 4 times I went to the same facility, and every time without fail, the intake process would look like this. She'd say, okay, Mr. Novak, your insurance will cover you for 90 days. And without fail, my rebuttal was, in theory, 90 days sounds great, but in reality, I'm more of like a 45-day-ish kind of guy, right? And
on your like 13th rehab stint.
Yeah. Well, that was my 12th. At the 13th,
Okay.
At the 13th,
The
at the
13th
13th is where it clicked.
Okay.
I had finally been beaten into that state of reasonableness. I was demoralized in just such a fashion from alcohol that when I sat at the same chair, at the same table with the same intake coordinator, and without fail, she could just fucking hit repeat and it would play. Your insurance will cover you for 90 days. For the first time in my life, I was like beaten speechless by my disease. I couldn't even talk because if I said no to her offer, I had to come up with an explanation as to why. And all I could do was shake my head yes. And thank God, because like at that point, my words held no fucking weight.
Yep.
I couldn't even lie to me anymore. And she gently smiled at me and she said, sweetheart, get up to detox. You're in no condition to do this. We'll talk in a week or so. And that's, that's when things started to click. I looked back and recognized, right, I could no longer deny the severity of my alcoholism.
Yep.
I couldn't justify, I couldn't minimize the outcome that consistently is created as a direct result of me putting needles into my arm, right? So I was like, dude, I am the common denominator in every one of my fucking problems.
Yeah.
And wherever I go, like problems ensue.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Because you're causing them.
It's me. But that's addiction. That's alcoholism, right? I have to deflect it onto you, to him, to her, to them, because I am not going to take accountability for my actions. Why would I?
It's one of the hardest parts of getting sober is taking accountability for everything you did when you weren't, and then having to deal with the fallout that you've created.
And making those wrongs right.
Yep.
Right? Like that's some big boy shit.
That shit is hard, dude.
Even in real life, fuck addiction. Like walk out here not an addict or not. No one likes to lean into those uncomfortable, undesirable situations
100%
that we generally avoid. And it's, if you're listening, don't get hung up on the word or alcohol, because that's just like the solution to the problem, right? It's not even the problem, but fucking add porn, add food, add shopping, add gambling, like whatever your thing is.
Pick a vice.
That's it. And we all have them. Fuck, I have a ton.
Yeah, I can tell. I'd imagine that a lot of your rehab stays, I mean, probably from the 2nd up to the 12th are pretty blurry, especially around the middle. Do you remember your first time going to treatment?
Yeah, the very first one I totally do. And you're right. They kind of all morph into one. And as a matter of fact, this book here, The Streets of Baltimore, when we were writing it, fact checkers, they get paid to prove why an autobiography is fake.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, there's like fact checkers out there, and their job is to discredit any kind of like autobiography.
Interesting.
So knowing that going into this, we had to, especially after the first one, which was Dream Seller, that did like extremely well. People were kind of paying attention at that point. And life was such a blur to me, right? I had like lived on spring break for the better part of 20 years, like extreme spring break. And my co-author, Joe Franz, who made all the CKY movies, film Viva La Bam and whatnot, he would ask me about topics and subjects, and I'm like, dude, I just don't know. I don't even know if I was born in 78 or 77, and that's a true story today.
Really?
Yeah, it's because
what does your ID say?
My ID says one, my birth certificate says another, and my mother doesn't fucking remember. And I've given so many aliases because I've been arrested so many times during active addiction. I'm fucking confused. So I go with 78 because it makes me a year younger.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I would pick too. Fuck 77.
But nonetheless, so that gives you an idea of where my mind's been. So we hired a private investigator.
Okay.
And we said, look, can you unearth and dig up every interaction I've had with any law enforcement in my whole career? And they're like, what? Most people pay a lot of money to bury that.
Mm-hmm.
You're like the only person ever asking to bring this to light, because that's how I can wrap my mind around where I was during a time.
Yep.
Like 1999. Apparently I went into, well, I know this, but this is how my mind works. Really different than most minds. They asked me where I was at in December. I don't know. I was like, what year? 1999. I know immediately exactly where I was at. 1999, December 31st. Was the night or day before it hit Y2K, which was supposed to be the year 2000.
Well, hell was about to break loose.
Yes.
Yep.
The clocks weren't going to turn over. Everything was going to shut down
End of
because
the world.
technology.
Yep.
So me, Josh, and Slim, two dudes I was running the streets, living in abandoned houses, we had a baseball bat and a crowbar and 3 pillowcases, and we were standing outside of a Rite Aid, and we were going to rob the Rite Aid pharmacy once it hit at midnight.
12:01, we're inside.
Nothing fucking happened. The world kept moving.
Yep.
I ended up in detox the very next day.
Really?
Because, like, it was cold. I had no money. I had these grandiose fucking plans of being the Pablo Escobar in the prescription era because I was going to rob this Rite Aid. Detox January 1st.
Yeah, that shit did not work out.
That's how my mind wraps its head around, like, events throughout my life. So, yeah, it was all a blur. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
I mean,
and that's why when I wrote the first book, Dream Seller, I didn't write that because I wanted to. I had no desire to become an author. I wrote it because we're filming Viva La Bam, and Bam and the cast and the crew, when we were done filming, we'd all go out to a dinner at a pub.
Yeah.
And it'd be a table of like 30. And he's like, yo, tell this story, tell that story. And I'd tell the story, and you could like hear a pin drop in the middle of this fucking bar.
You've got everyone locked in.
And he's like, dude, because prior to this point, he allowed me to come live with him. He got me out of Baltimore City. He let me be on the show. I was getting paid. I could use a car, have a credit card, but I just couldn't do or any downers. I could do and drink, right?
Fuck yeah.
But you're like,
yeah.
Jackpot.
Deal, dude.
To me, I was bummed. I'm like, fuck this, because I wasn't getting what I wanted. And that was cool till this point. And he's like, no, new deal. You're going to write a book. And he's like, you get a pen and paper, and you fucking, the first time I don't see you with that notebook in your hand, the deal's off and you're going back to Baltimore. So I was kind of like, you know, it was an ultimatum, and it was easy to weigh the scales of justice.
Yeah.
Go back to being homeless in Baltimore, letting men blow me, or just write a book and continue to be on the show and become a household name. So writing that book allowed me to go back to that place without physically going back to it. It was very therapeutic.
Interesting.
So that was cool.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff that you probably just never actually sat down and reflected on up until that point.
For sure.
You know, and that's something that, like, I think especially in sobriety, you end up doing for a very long period after you get clean. Just sitting there and reflecting on all the shit that you did. Like, oh.
Yeah.
I let that guy suck my dick.
Totally.
Which
today in life, really, and when I got sober, and I didn't know that I was doing any of this, but today I try to live my life by virtue of how I can help my brothers and sisters who are God's children out the most.
Yep.
In every aspect of that. And when I do that, I'm blessed with a really beautiful life. And it's that simple. Seems very difficult and overly complicated and not logical. But that's solely what's made my life better. Just being a good human and helping out my brothers and sisters, however that may be.
And I mean, it almost, for you, I would imagine, feels like you're making up for what you've done in the past when you continue to live that every day, yeah?
I'm living on borrowed time, for sure. And I go to meetings a lot. I'm a meeting guy. I'm a 12-step guy.
Yep.
And I'll hear people in meetings say, I worked real hard for this seat. I worked real hard for this seat in this meeting. And this is just my opinion, but to myself, I'm like, dude, I didn't work hard for my seat at all. I didn't. The people that worked hard for my seat in my recovery was my mother, my brother, my friends, my family, the police, the emergency room, the EMTs. Yep. Like, those were the people that worked for my seat.
You were just getting high.
Yeah. If justice was due, I'd be dead years ago. So I'm on borrowed time, and I have a lot to repay to society. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing about my life today is that I'm in a far different place than I was. And now I can help people. I can help people in ways that I couldn't before. And I can show up when I say I will. And I'm dependable, and I'm reliable, and I'm a good fucking person to have on your team. And I'll take that to the bank. And there's receipts to prove this. And it just, all I had to do was just get out of my way.
Yeah.
And if I can remain in that place of gratitude, then I don't fucking get too big for my britches or forget where I came from. Because right now at 46, my life's the best it's ever been in every area of my life that you could imagine. Physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, sexually, financially. Like, yep. I'm fucking aces. And this is just as a direct result of just getting out of my way and becoming teachable.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do.
Dude, it
pays off.
It's so hard. And I only became teachable by virtue of, like, being on life support, being on parole, being incarcerated, a pair of handcuffs on my wrists, my mother crying herself to sleep, my mother buying me a plot. Like, those are the ways I become teachable. And I thought that at the time when these incidents were taking place, they were happening to me and at me. But I had no idea it was really for me. Right? It was, and now what I know to be true today is I was just being divinely inconvenienced. Series after series after series of events where these lessons that when I found myself in the particular position at the right place at the right time with the right mentor in front of me, were all going to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it probably took a very long time for your mom to actually believe you were sticking to it after you got sober in May 2015, yeah?
Not only her, there was a long list of people.
Oh, absolutely, I'd imagine. But with your mom buying a plot in advance and everything, I would imagine she took longer than most, probably.
Dude, well, no, because she loved me the most.
Oh, so she really believed.
She was the one. My mother at the end was the woman that would show up for me when no one showed up for me.
Yep.
She would sneak me into the house. She would allow me to get a shower. She would lie to my brother and sister because they were like, do not let him in that house. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, she was that ride or die. But at the end, even she had to, like, she told me, she said, I will no longer love you to death. And that's when I was served with a restraining order to, like, not be allowed on her premises. And looking back, I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? How dare you do that? If anybody treated my mother or did the things that I did to my mother, I would fucking murder you. And I was never physical, right? Like, but mentally, it's like 10 times worse. And I would never allow anyone to put my mother through that. So, like, rightfully so, I was removed from the premises. But she was the first amends I made. She accepted it. But my sister, she was the woman she said she'll never speak to me again.
Wow.
And she meant it when she said it. And the jury was still out with everyone in my life. And it wasn't until I celebrated my first year of sobriety that people started to, like, think, whoa, maybe there is something different here. And it wasn't because of the things I was saying. It was the things I was doing. Mm-hmm. And learning about my addiction and alcoholism, it had nothing to do with the drinking it was the thinking, the attitude, and the behaviors. So if I changed my behaviors, I changed my outcome.
Yeah.
By not shooting dope or drinking for a year, I was exhibiting different behaviors. Therefore, I was experiencing different outcomes. So I didn't have to talk anymore. I didn't have to sell these dreams, right? I didn't have to make people believe the unbelievable by virtue of lip service. For the first time in my life, I just shut the fuck up, something I had never done before. And I just walked. And I let my walk do my talk. And because my behaviors were changing, my outcomes were changing. And for the first time, as recovery is, everything was backwards.
Yep.
I didn't have to like, hey, I'm doing great. Look at this. People recognized and they saw. And then they started inviting me into their life.
Yep.
They started calling me. They extended invitations. And it was bad. My whole life, I thought no one in the world knew that I had a problem but me. And then I fucked around and found out that everyone in the world knew that I had a problem but me. I was the last person to ever come to an understanding of the reality of things.
Yeah, I think, at least in my experience too, one of the hardest parts of sobriety, especially early on, is when you're doing all your shit right and you're trying to say it. Like, you're like, hey, I'm clean, I'm doing this right. And no one recognizes it yet. And that's really frustrating when, you've been getting high for years and finally you're not getting high. And like, you want that immediate gratification. Like, you want your family and friends to be like, wow, you're doing so good, when you're like 2 fucking weeks in,
I was there at one point at one of my many attempts. At my 13th, at 38 years old, I was like, I bought that thing, right? Like, I couldn't even, and I'm a pretty intelligent individual who prides himself on being an outside the box thinker, but I couldn't even come up with a rational explanation as to why they should trust me. Like, I had done so much damage that I'm like, I'm gonna fucking fall way back. And I was content. I worked at that diner washing dishes. I lived in a sober living house. I paid $165 a week rent. And that first year was some of the best times of my life. All I did was focus on like staying sober and going to meetings and living in this like dorm-like setting, this like frat house. And it was great. And then slowly but surely they came around. But it took a long, I knew that I did a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, when the dust settles,
yes,
you got a lot to pick up.
Totally.
Totally. For me, I remember when I got out of rehab, my dad to this day still won't speak to me.
Really?
Yeah, I've been sober. I got out of rehab. Well, all right, I got out of rehab, and I did not actually get sober from my time in rehab. I got sober a few years after that.
Right on.
But when I initially got out of rehab, it was 2017. And it was like 5 days before my 18th birthday.
How old are you now?
I'm 26.
Okay.
But my dad said to me, like literally on one of the last days I was in rehab, he was like, listen, when you get out, you got to come live with me. You can't have any internet. You can't have any phone. My parents are split up.
Now, are you and your dad close, or is it you and your mom?
Hell no. Me and my mom are close. Me and my dad are
got you.
Not very close. But he basically came and gave me an ultimatum, and he was like, hey,
Nothing an addict likes more.
Yeah, of course. Right up my alley. A good ultimatum. He's like, hey, when you get out, you got to come live with me. You'll have no internet, no phone, and like you'll work at the grocery store up the street and like do that for a year, and then we'll talk about you getting like any outside life. He was basically trying to lock me down. But luckily I had a choice of who to go live with, because my parents despise each other so much that my mom would never allow me to just have that as the only option. So she was like, I'll take you back into my house once you get out of rehab, but you have to go to outpatient and like do all that. I ended up going with my mom. My dad never spoke to me again.
To this day?
To this very day.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never spoken to my dad since then, which I didn't get clean after.
I was going to say, yeah, so you didn't stay sober at the...
So I've only been, I've been to the psych ward twice, residential facility once, the one in Minnesota I was telling you about. I got out, I was on probation, which is why I got sent to rehab, because it was effectively either go to rehab or go to jail.
Sure.
So I went to rehab, obviously.
Most people do, yeah.
Honestly, I had a blast.
Yeah.
Treatment was a lot of fun. And I really wasn't serious about getting sober at the time, but I met a lot of people who like planted the seeds in my brain. It was the first time that I really saw like, oh, this is how it gets eventually. Like, oh, fuck, I got out, got off probation, relapsed like immediately. Like, no. Was actually a one-time thing in high school with my buddies when we got bored of.
Sure.
So we were going through a real head phase. I was a poly addict up until I discovered. And then once I started doing, I was like, yo, fuck every other.
Yeah.
Except I'll put that in my lines,
Sure.
So I, get out of rehab. I do my outpatient. I finish my probation, relapse pretty much immediately, just start railing for 3 more years. And then in 2021, in like September of 2021, don't remember the exact date, that's when I got clean finally.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, fuck this, I'm done. It was a real like rock bottom kind of thing. Talked about it many times on the show, so I won't get too detailed.
Sure.
But how many A or NA meetings were you going to per week or month or however often when you first got sober?
Oh, I was going to like 1 a day.
Really?
Yeah.
You were
When I
dedicating
first
a lot
got
of time.
sober, that's all I had was time.
Yep.
No one was looking for me to be a part of like their daily events. Remember
Yeah, you'd been segregated from that for a while.
A long time. So I lived in a very blue collar area. And my life looked like I would wash dishes during the day. I would come home, I get a shower, and I would go to a meeting with the guys in the house, and we make dinner and go to bed. And it was a wash, rinse, repeat for the first year. That's what I did. And I loved it, and I couldn't get enough of it. And my only job at that point was to stay sober. And the jury was out if that was even going to take place.
Yeah.
At least that's how everyone in my life felt. So they just watched from afar. And then, you know, I put the work in on the front end. To now today, a little over a decade later, I'm a really busy guy. And I'm all over the place. And sometimes I don't go to a meeting for a few weeks. And I'm not like, oh, I'm jonesing, I need to use or I want to use or.
Yeah.
But like, I have that awareness and I have that relationship with my higher power, and I consistently improve that relationship, and I can stand the test of time right now if some time lapses, but not long enough to where I, you know, start buying into these crazy thoughts that happen between my 2 ears.
Yeah. It sounds like you mentioned you talk a lot about your higher power and God specifically. Were you always a religious dude, or did you find that in sobriety?
Oh. Totally in sobriety.
Interesting.
I the first 2 years of my sobriety, I didn't even care about like higher power. I didn't care about much, except what I knew I wanted was no more of that pain that brought me in. That's what I could hang my hat on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I could voice out loud. I was too scared to be like, I'm done using, never again. Because I had said that so many times before, and I never held true to that. So I knew that wasn't the way to go. And I got into the step work. And what I know to be true now is that my mother, she would go to church and she would pray for me to get better. And she prayed me into a better way of living because I'm not capable enough to create this outcome. It defies logic. It's not the way that I'm wired. I like to shoot and destroy lives, including mine. And she prayed me into a better life, which was recovery. And she prayed me into AA. And AA via the 12 steps took me back to the God of my understanding. Right? And now I know that everything is my higher power. Which I choose to call God, but I don't give a fuck what yours is, and I don't even care what mine is. I just know that it's not me, right? It's not me, and my life is really beautiful because of that. And the longer I stay sober, the more I know I have no idea about much. It's really all designed by not me, which is why it works.
Higher power.
Yeah, totally, which is why it works.
Kind of an off topic. Well, I guess it's on the topic of the meetings, but why is it that everyone at AA meetings drinks so much coffee?
I'm a tea guy.
Really?
I hate coffee. I don't drink coffee at all.
Interesting.
But I drink tea probably like they drink coffee.
Every meeting I've been to, that kettle's hot, dude.
Which I would think would make you like to go to meetings since you're a little fucking speed freak.
No,
Get your heart
I had no problem attending my AA and NA meetings. When I first got out of inpatient and I was an outpatient, they were requiring me to go at least 3 nights a week. If I remember correctly, it was 3. I started attending these NA meetings that were like right across the street from my apartment. Yeah. The problem was one of the like sponsors in my group was selling to like half the rest of the group.
No way.
So that was a one that I stopped going to. Yep.
It's problematic.
And I had to go find another group. It was a meeting that was initially recommended to us by my counselor as like my whole group in outpatient. And then once word had gotten out that one of the leading guys in the group was not sober, he very quickly said, let's send you guys to another NA meeting, you know?
And it's not unrealistic to think that like someone at the meetings might be getting high.
For sure.
That's what the fuck they're created for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think someone who is not sober doesn't deserve to have a seat at that kind of meeting.
Sure.
Like they probably need it most.
100%. And I think for me today, those people carry a stronger message than the ones with 10, 20, 30 years do. Because
100%.
the better my life gets, the longer or further I'm removed from the last time I ingested a drink or a drug, the easier I forget how bad shit gets. So that guy who's nodding out in that chair, that guy who's fucking homeless and no shoes on, that message to me is far more powerful than,
100%.
So and the truth is, it takes a lot longer to get 10 days sober than it will to get 10 years sober. And if I go back to that place in time when I had 10 days sober, that makes me grateful. And at the end of the day, a grateful alcoholic will never drink, and a grateful addict will never use. So if I can remain in this state of gratitude, I'm untouchable.
Yeah, the moment you lose that kind of connection to reality, it's over with. You're going back.
For sure. Yeah, not a matter of if, but when.
Yep.
And how do I know that? Because I can look back at my history. And history in life tends to repeat itself.
Yeah.
Unless a miracle takes place. For me. And
those aren't common.
No, it's not. But in my world, it is.
Yep.
Your world, it is, of recovery.
Yeah, thankfully.
Statistics state, this is facts. This is not debatable.
Okay.
Cold, hard numbers. Shit that accountants fucking use that make the world run. Data collected, analytics received, studies state that statistics state that you and I are to be high or dead right now. The fact that we're not is miraculous, equaling a miracle.
We should go buy a lotto ticket.
And B, it defies logic.
Yep.
They've done studies on it. Any addict or addict is generally to end up dead as a result of his disease. Fact.
Yeah, I mean, what's the relapse rate for people in treatment? It's like 90-something% or some shit?
I don't even know, but and looking at it from that perspective and remembering the pain that I endured to get to the seat that I'm in today, it reinstates to me that it's much easier to stay sober than it is to get sober. So I go to meetings to find out what happens to people that don't go to meetings.
Yeah.
Straight up. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to see that other example. Like yourself, you never recognize anything you're doing. You can't look at yourself from a third-person view. No. When you see someone else, it's like, oh, fuck.
And then I have to surround myself with really good people. Like people that stop me from getting to me before I even see what I'm doing. Right? And that's changed my life immensely.
Do you know, like, cumulatively, like, how much time you spent in treatment or jail from your addiction?
Fuck no. I've never done the math on that.
I mean,
but a majority, more than I'm 46 now, and I was in my first treatment center at 17, my last at 38, 13 of those, lost count of outpatients and detoxes, and I used for the better part of 21-ish years. So I'd say that I haven't been sober longer than I got high. So the scales haven't equaled out yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's safe to say we'd probably be measuring in years how much time you spent in facilities, correct?
Yeah.
Between 12.
I'm institutionalized for sure.
Yeah.
And that was also a large part of the problem because I can conform to whatever setting you place me in because that's the way I lived and supported my drug addiction for years. Yep. I'm institutionalized. I do well in those kind of settings. It's when I'm released and you put me back into society, I'm like, ugh, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and
you need that structure.
I'm trusted with self. That's the biggest problem is me. I can't trust me. Yeah. So
yourself is a menace.
Yeah. Myself, I fucking tattoo needles in my arms and fucking think that this is the, so I that's the name of the game, accountability.
Yeah.
Still to today.
100%. One of the things I was really curious about too, with how long you've been sober now, have you had any close calls with relapsing at all?
No.
Really?
No. And I think, again, because I did it for so long, that the euphoria of it being a good time wore off a long time ago. Like a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
And now I've been sober long enough that I have such a beautiful life that, like, it will take something unforeseen to put me in that place where I think a drink will make anything better. Like the illusions of me going out and having a glass of wine tonight at dinner to enjoy the evening a little bit more have been smashed a long time ago. Like I know the reality. I like to fucking shoot speedballs and destroy everything and everybody, including myself. And I don't like to stop.
So you're just gonna have a glass of tea now.
Yeah. So it's just easier. Like I love life. I have this reinvigorated fucking taste for it, and I enjoy waking up. I love going to bed in anticipation for the next day.
How long did it take for that appreciation of life to kind of come back to you?
It's varied. You know, in the beginning it was instantaneous because I wasn't waking up in abandoned houses anymore. And I wasn't doing ungodly things to come up with money to support my habit. So I was grateful to have a bed to get into, a shower to use, consistently, right? And then the euphoria of that wears off, and then I believe I should be so much further along, and I should have this girl and this house and this bank account, and and then I get a little bit more pain, and then I'm grateful again, and it's just ebbs and flows,
hits and waves.
Yeah. Depends on the day that you ask.
I think one of the hardest things for me personally when I got sober was finding enjoyment in like mundane activities again. Like when my friends would ask me to go out, and instead of being like, yo, let's get a bag and get hammered tonight and, blow the whole bag and then not shower the next day because the moisture will make our noses bleed.
Yeah.
When someone, after doing that for so many years, just asked me like, hey, you want to go bowling? That sounded so horrible and almost torturous to me.
Yeah.
And it took so long for like that kind of shit to be something I was even willing to entertain doing. Did you didn't have that issue? Like you just...
I did. And ironically enough, the longer I'm sober, the more I become pretty introverted.
Interesting.
I don't really do things with big crowds of people. I live alone with 3 cats. I'm a single guy.
I have 2 cats.
Yeah, I'm a cat fanatic. And my end game is to open a cat sanctuary when I have time. But yeah, like in the beginning, I was doing the diners. Bowling was a bit of a stretch, but I would do it. I had a sponsor who had me just saying yes to everything for the first year. And it was a really great experience. But I was so disconnected from reality that some of my favorite pastimes still to this moment are like going to the grocery store, changing my kitty litter box, taking them to the vets, clean sheets on a bed. Like that's my day. That's it. Bills being paid, showing up for my friends.
I've never heard someone enjoy paying bills.
Yeah, because I never did that. You know what I mean? Like I was like, bills, fuck. That's why I never had a driver's license, because I found at 16. I'm like, dude, priorities, bitch. Driver's license is not on there. Like I was really disconnected from this thing called reality. So today I'm in bed by like 9:30. I have a lot of moving parts in my life, and one's perspective might be like, wow, how does he find the time to? But everything's very even keeled, and it's almost somewhat predictable. And when it's not, that's predictable too, because my mantra is to think less and do more, knowing that this is the problem, and just to remain fluid through whatever situation arises, because it's all intentional and it's happening for me, not to me. So knowing that, like, everything as it should be.
The mind games you play, dude. The mind games when you're an addict. They're fucked up too. And you'll say some crazy shit to the people you love, that then you get sober and it's like, oh shit. I have to address that now. I remember when I got clean, my mom was she let all the cats out of the bag. She was like, remember when you said this? I was like, no. There's one time I told my mom the only thing I loved was getting high. She was like, it was an argument, and like, I told her I didn't love her. I was like, I don't even love you. The only thing I love is getting high. That was a long discussion.
I bet.
That was a long discussion.
Yeah, we do some pain, man. We do some damage.
That was a tough one.